What up, man? How you doing?
Good. How about you, bro?
I'm good. Turn your phone sideways so we can see the landscape. Look better on camera.
All right, hold on. Let me. Does that look better?
There you go. Yep, a lot better. There you
I
go.
need something to prop it up on. I'm in the car.
Okay.
I didn't have nowhere to set up in my house.
Hey, you good? Hey, you see what's behind me? I'm in old people house right now. I'm visiting moms.
I got to visit mamas, bro.
I'm in Virginia right now.
I was wondering where you were at. I saw the live, and I was like, Rock Hill.
Yeah.
I was like, that ain't home.
Yeah, it was a lot to get set up. I'm glad I brought my stuff with me though.
Yeah, for sure.
But hold on one sec. I'm just going to be sharing the live real quick, like I
Yeah, you good,
normally
bro?
do. I bowled a what's the face today? What they call it? I bowled the King of the Hill in Norfolk today.
Okay, yeah.
Missed the cut by 14 sticks.
God dang it, bro. Why? Missing spares?
Last game, split in the 10th.
It's the worst.
I was like, I was like, I ain't split all day.
Of course
split
not.
In the 10th. Yeah, it broke my heart. I ain't gonna lie to you.
It usually does. It's like, God almighty.
Yeah, that I ain't gonna lie, that one hurt. Especially when you're out of town.
It's like shooting 300 and then 160. No, I'm not out of town. I'm at home. I'm literally just sitting in my driveway.
No, I was saying when you're out of town and you do that too.
Oh yeah, that's even worse.
Yeah, because you be trying to show off a little bit and be like, yeah, this what Georgia got.
This is what Georgia's about. And then it's like,
right.
Yeah, that's what Georgia's about.
Yeah, it was so, but it was fun. It was cool because a couple of people recognized me. Of course,
you got JoJo, who's a celebrity now, bro.
Oh yeah, JoJo. Yeah, I ain't on JoJo status.
Bro, he's not even gonna join our live. He's too famous.
I've been trying. Shoot, I've been trying to get him on the phone. His secretary told me she'll get back to me in like 2.5 weeks. I was like, man, I don't know.
His secretary, his assistant.
Yeah, JoJo too famous for us.
His accountant.
It's crazy because like they hit me up. I think TMZ hit me up and they was like, yeah, we heard you known him when he was at the snack bar.
No, I say like, he got too famous where he texts me on Facebook Messenger and not my phone number.
Oh, see.
That pissed me off.
You don't even really know if it's him.
No, that pissed me off, dude. I was like, is this even him?
No.
Right. What up, Scotty?
Peace. How you feeling?
What's up, man?
How's everything?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Good. How about you, man?
Lane, this is my boy Scotty.
Nice to meet you, man.
You as well, Lane.
We give me one moment. I'm sharing the broadcast like we're gonna get started in 1 second. I was telling them, Scotty, about I just came from a tournament in Norfolk.
How was it?
It was good. It was let me tell you something, Lane. I am no longer complaining about dry houses.
Oh, see, I've always heard that the further north you go, like the more flooded they get.
Yeah, not out here in Norfolk. I bowled in Norfolk, and when was that? Yesterday or Saturday? I bowled in Hampton,
and
in Hampton it was Hampton. It was
that's all you got to say is yeah.
But it was also my first time bowling on straight wood lanes.
Oh, see, that's fun.
Yeah, so it took me too long to get left, so it was a little expensive practice, but I redeemed myself today.
Way to put it.
Well, yeah, hey, Gustavo's on real quick. Gustavo, let me tell you something, dog. You think you dodged one, boy. These Georgia teams is looking for you. You dodged one in that bracket, buddy.
Gustavo, who's Gustavo?
He's part of Stage Rangers.
I don't know none of the teams up there.
Yeah, they're in the Triad district, the district that they're named after a bowling alley called Candyland. So,
I want to go bowl at Triad so bad.
Oh, you should.
I've always heard it's like the easiest house in the South.
Yeah, it's Anchor Lanes.
Where's Anchor at?
That's in Columbia. Well, right beside Columbia.
Oh, okay.
And then I probably would say after Anchor is probably Royal Z, and then it's Triad. But yeah. But like I tell Gustavo, man, there's a reason why them boys don't want to come to Georgia. It's a reason why. So hey, but they say Triad is called Candyland. So
Candyland.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, I guess just because it's so easy.
Pretty much. That's pretty much. But Scotty, how's everything?
Hey man, everything is everything. I can't complain.
Scotty just had a birthday Sunday. Happy belated
happy birthday, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Man,
yes, sir.
Had a great year. Graduated with your bachelor's this year. Congratulations on that.
Big boy.
Let me correction, the masters.
Yeah. My bad. My bad. Excuse me.
I'm humble, but I definitely got to say correction on that one.
Excuse me.
Got the masters this year. Yes, sir.
My bad. With the masters, he put in that work. So go ahead and tell them what your masters is in. Say hi.
Let me say hello to her. Hey, beautiful.
Hey, sweetheart.
Say hi.
She's like a mom right there.
She's like, who's this white boy? I don't like him.
Huh?
Nah, but indeed, I got a master's in social work, so I'm becoming a therapist and hope to test for licensed clinical therapist in a couple years after I do all my clinical hours, and then be eligible for. So it's been a long journey. I've been in school 7 straight years. So I did get the bachelor's, and then I went into get my master's. Can you still see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
I went off on my screen, but so yeah, I mean that's the journey. I mean it's pretty much it's been a dream of mine to be able to work people, of course, but now I'm at the capacity of I'm in front of them, so now be in a personal space where they could trust someone and kind of help guide them with whatever they got, going on in life. So it's a huge role. It's a very tough role. I'm sure it's going to be an experience. So I'm looking forward to the next 40 years of doing that,
Absolutely.
So
something different every day.
Absolutely, Lane. So that's the whole thing.
And then another thing that we used to always talk about is I know you have a passion. We all have a passion for sports, but you also talked about, how you wanted to tackle mental health in sports.
Yeah. And that's the stretch goal. So of course, you have different levels of goals. That's the stretch goal, is to possibly be. I'm a fan of basketball, so to be on a basketball staff, preferably the NBA. But at this point, the way it's going, I'll take anything, right? So anything that fits, it's just a relationship. So anything that fits me, where it allows me to be me, I hope to be able to play one of those roles. But I'm doing a transition. They talk about it more now. I still don't know how to define what they're actually allowing to have on staff, but I know they have psychologists and things of that nature. But to understand, some of these athletes, they fly out their therapy, they do all those things, because of course they paying out of pocket to avoid any paperwork. Because you got to think, if I was on this podcast right now and I was LeBron James therapist, I could never say he paying me big money.
Yeah, exactly. Too. Yeah.
So
if he wants to get in with the NBA, you could hook him up with Anthony Richmond.
Oh yeah, that's right. Anthony Richmond just moved down here. He's working with the Atlanta Hawks.
I'll say he works with the Hawks.
That's good stuff. Yeah,
he's a pretty high up guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he do, but I know he's sort of a big deal because he be everywhere with them.
I'm sure. You imagine that he stayed traveling.
What you want?
You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, that's okay, my baby.
Absolutely.
She putting you to work.
Yeah. Tell me about it. So this just to let everybody know, right now we are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and soon I'm gonna have Instagram set up. So we're definitely streaming on all of those platforms.
We worldwide, baby.
So we're trying to get it out there. As everybody know, we definitely be having some great conversations on here. Looking to have another one tonight. I appreciate, first of all, Lane, because I know a lot of people, don't like to reach out. You made a post a couple of weeks ago about mental health and wanting to see possibly a sports psychiatrist to understand why we are and I think a lot of people not necessarily reached out but commented by understanding what you mean.
Mhm.
And one of the questions I'm gonna ask you, Scotty, is me and Lane see it all the time in the sport we in, and Scotty, I know you're a big sports guy, too, who played sports at a high level. To try to get the understanding of why we I don't want to say emotional, but what is it that it means so much to us where if we don't do like we want it to do, we kind of rage out, so they say nowadays. What do you think is like the preparation and the cause of that to make people kind of, feel like they got to be perfect every single time?
Oh no, that's a great question. But going back to Lane, I want to approach that if you don't mind. I don't know, if that was the question posted, Lane,
Yeah.
or was it something else in regards to sport, mental health? I just want to make sure I kind of ask you that question before I go into what he was asking.
It's one of those things where, like, in bowling, we expect to be perfect, but knowing that we're never going to be perfect. And when we're not perfect, we get upset about it. Because, like, I set super high expectations for myself, and especially being, accompanied with a few brands, I put extra pressure on myself. Like, okay, I need to show out. I need to show that I belong here. And then when something goes wrong, a switch flips in my head, and I'm like mentally gone.
Yeah.
And it's like I lose my temper quickly, and then I just feel like I'm out of it, and it makes me feel like I don't belong there when I know I do.
Right. So, like, to simplify, and Jake, you sharing that. So to simplify the answer, I was thinking about, like, how when kids are trying to do something, they have no knowledge of how to do it. They just know I'm trying to. Oh, we lost Lane.
Yeah, he in the car, so he probably lost
Yeah,
signal.
yeah. Well, how we don't have, like, kids are trying to do something, they become frustrated. Because they know what they're trying to accomplish. Well, I don't even want to say they know what they're trying to accomplish, but they know at the end of the day, they're trying to do something, but it's not going the way they actually want it to go, and they just become frustrated.
Yeah.
And they become frustrated just because of a lack of knowledge or understanding why they are frustrated, right? You know what I'm saying? So they just react. And that's where the rage and the tempers fall in, the throwing of the toy, whatever that may be. A little bit girl in there, I'm sure she threw a toy too, because she like, look, I'm trying to get this toy to function, but I don't even understand how it's supposed to function. But it's not doing what I need it to do. And I look at that when y'all talking about bowling, y'all got to hold a ball on a lane that y'all really don't understand just until you bowl that ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like so many other. To me, there's so many other layers to bowl where it's like it's beyond your control in a sense, but it just comes to competition alone. At the end of the day, what's the ultimate celebration in bowling? What's the 300? It's like, what's that called? You know what I'm
300
saying?
or 800.
And it's like a perfect game, right? It's possible because it's happened before. Isn't that what y'all always like? Is that always the strive? Is that always the goal? Try to bowl that 300. So it's like the countdown is every time if you bowl a 9, if you bowl a 8, at this point the 300, it gets further and further away from you. You know what I'm saying? So now it goes into who you are personally. Everybody can't take a loss. Everybody don't know how to take a loss because it's almost like you personally attack yourself with that loss. So my thing is, I think people have a hard time with it because they have a hard time with themselves. So you got to personally really look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what is your ultimate goal? And if 300 is the only way to define you, then you're going to always struggle. You know what I'm saying? Some things are in between, and you got to accept that you have these shortcomings. That will happen. But a lot of times we define ourselves based on the win or the loss, and we shouldn't do that. But I think it's the ego thing. Sport, a lot of egos in sports, and that's just
Mm.
hands down. A lot of egos in sports, and it's hard to take that away because we ultimately define people based on the win alone. Man. So
What are some things that people can do to kind of control expectations, especially in a sport where any sport where I'm gonna say, so in sports where you have to continue to work on your craft, continue to get better, continue to strive to get to that next level. What are some things where people can maintain expectations?
It's hard because it's such a thin line, in my opinion. But if we constantly are comparing ourselves based on the person in front of us, we're going to continue to miss the mark of who we are in that particular competitive environment. You know what I'm saying? So now the measure becomes different because it could be easily influenced by the way somebody else is doing things. Now we are looking to accomplish whatever that goal is as far as what competitive sport is requiring of us at that time, but we still got to define who we are in that particular competition. It's just like if we playing ball against each other, a lot of times people don't want to compete against each other because, again, you may take my starting job, but if I'm looking at it as an opportunity of getting better, as long as we're competing at 100%, then now I could focus in and being okay with if there's short to the person that's in front of me, I'm okay with being beneath that person. You know what I'm saying? Because we competed at the ultimate level. You know what I'm saying? So people will always say, well, it don't matter. You lost in the finals, like the A finals. But Dallas Mavericks still got to the finals. You know what I'm saying? And they competed they got to the finals. Even don't get me wrong, you're supposed to want to accomplish winning the finals, but we still got to credit the fact that you competed at the highest level in a better team. But you were second to that better team. But that's never enough in society sometimes. So it's about you, how you want to define and receive that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the unfortunate part of sports, though. I think boxing has a hard time with it because that one loss in that column, it was hard. It was like as soon as you get a loss, you're nobody at this point. You know what I'm saying? So
now, Lane, in our sport, in bowling, why do you think it's so frustrating where the losses are not measured? So why do you think we take losing so hard in the sport?
Probably because we expect so much from ourselves, especially from guys like me who bowl primarily on house shot and then jump straight into nationals. So it's like I bowl on house shot all the time. I win on house shot. I bowl really good on house shot. But then as soon as you get to nationals, you get humbled. So then you take that loss because it's like, damn, man, I lit up. Like, because the weekend before nationals, I blew Biloxi up.
Oh, yeah, you did.
And so I was like going into
and the tour stop.
And yeah, so I was like, I shot like 750 at the tour stop. I was like, dude, I'm like throwing the ball the best I ever had. I practiced at the factory like not long before that with Andrew, and I felt like I was throwing the ball the best I ever had. But then as soon as I got to nationals, after the team set, so team was supposed to be the hard pattern. And I shot really well on the team pattern. I came in expecting the light singles and doubles up. And when I came out the gate with 180, I took it as a loss. And I was like, do I really belong here? I think it's just one of those things where I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it.
I think it's one of those things to help. And I definitely understand what you're talking about, because I think one of the biggest things as bowlers that we do is we got 3 games.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think when you walk in there, you have a number in your head. And when you, like you said, we throw that 180, 170, so whatever in that first game, we don't look like in our minds, we're not going 300.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not. And so
we're not, so I definitely understand what you're saying, because it's just like, and that's why I love that Scotty's on here, who's because it's like the mindset isn't okay, we're gonna light it up. But then it's like with other sports like basketball, if I miss the first shot, I'm not like sub me out.
You're not there after that.
I drop a pass in the first quarter. All right, hey, throw me the ball again. I ain't gonna drop it again. But you start the game one with a split, like, oh my gosh. Like it's like the wheels come off. And I don't know if it's just because the game is 12 games. I mean, I'm sorry, 12 frames in a game, which happens like that, versus the longevity. Because, in other sports, you can kind of, like in basketball, I could have a bad first quarter, second quarter.
And then you come out in the third and fourth and you can light it up.
Now, in a tournament, especially, let me say this too, especially in Georgia. And I was telling somebody about this today. In Georgia, you got a bowl. Like it's you bowl 10 pins under your average, you're hoping to make a cut. I'm sorry, you're not a cut. I'm sorry. You're hoping to cash. Yeah. Like you're hoping to cash. If I'm 10 pins under my average, I know I'm not winning.
Yeah.
In any game.
And that's the thing is that I think that messes with a lot of people is because we focus on the score too much.
Right.
And I was talking to Chris McMillan not long ago, and he pretty much implemented in my head, like, you need to control what you can control. I understand, you're going to shoot. It doesn't matter. You're going to shoot 180. At some point, you're going to. You have to accept that loss.
And Jeff, how would you tell a competitor after a terrible first game to help him be like, am I finishing for pride now? Even though like I'm done in the tournament because I had a bad first game? Or is it, keep going because you never know what happens?
I think a lot of people kind of, and I've done it myself, where you shoot one bad game and you're like, nope, I'm done, I'm out, and then you don't try. That's what happened at Nationals. I didn't try for the rest of the set. I was like, oh, I'm done. I can't take the all events lead. I can't bowl. I could have still shot really well if I had focused. But as soon as we shoot that one bad game, we take ourselves out of it. And
I have a question. And when you were saying this, Lane, I have a question, because of your response. How judgmental is the audience and are your people in your, because it sounds like, go ahead. What's that? How judgmental? I want to hear that answer if you can.
Because we're the audience. Like you're like, we don't give a damn who's in the back. I think it's all us. Like, you know what I'm saying? The audience is my head in bowling. Like we don't.
Well, it's a combination because you have your head and then you have the people that are going to talk behind your back.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, because like
so that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Because like for people like me, I'm accompanied with DV8, and because I'm on staff, people put me on a different level for some reason. And if I shoot that 180, all I have to hear about for the next week is, oh, well, I shot 200. I should be on staff, not you. That's the judgment of people nowadays. It's not, hey, what could I do to get where he is? It's, oh, I beat him. I should be on staff, not him. People,
I never even thought about it from that aspect.
Like when you win a tournament, it's, oh, he's a house rat. He can't bowl on sport. Nobody congratulates anybody for anything in bowling. That's how judgmental we are.
Got it. Yeah, and I never thought about it from that aspect too. Because you're right. It's yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just because I hear it all the time. It's like, I shoot a bad game in league, and it's like, ooh, well, I could be on staff because he shot that. Or when I won Biloxi, it was, on the Facebook comments, it was congratulations, you did so good. But behind my back, it was, oh, that's why you went to nationals and suck because you're a house rat. Nobody congratulates anybody. That's the problem.
So that's the thing.
It's all hate.
That's why I was asking, because all this is all theory, so it's not fact, because I'm saying, I'm becoming a therapist. It's all theory, but I just trying to get you guys to think about it, because I'm not on the lanes like you guys are, but what I'm hearing is a lot of times the way people have commented or their opinion, they become seeds, right? And those was planted mentally in you. So what happens is you may not necessarily believe that when you're actually winning, you may not necessarily believe that, but once you actually create that for them, once you actually become what they're saying, it's hard for you to take that what you've planted in you, and for you to remove that seed that's been planted in you. So it's hard for you to remove their opinion, because now you feel like you're actually living up to the opinion that they placed on you at this point. So now I ain't bowling, I'm done. That's because in your mind they told you you're done, and you have this, it's just a 180 or one, whatever the score is. It's not what you actually are trying to bowl.
Exactly.
But you're now having, and it's like you gotta get. That's the hard part of competition. Everybody's built a little bit different, and this is why team basketball becomes a great sport, right? Because there's encouragement around you. But when it's just you in that lane, even if you're on team, but it's just you in that lane. And we got to be careful. That opinion can shift one slight movement, and you're not even paying attention to it. So now you're off, but you can't even recognize where you're off at, because you're stuck in the opinion of how people are perceiving this actual bowl. You know what I'm saying? This right here. Excuse, I just want to make sure I get the language right, because I don't bowl a lot. But again, you're now struggling with approaching it the way you would if it was totally focused. So it's easier said than done to say, hey, you just need to focus, but we're human beings. So now you got to really look yourself in the mirror. And I'm not speaking just you, Lamb, us in totality. We got to look ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves, how do we respond to that type of competitive environment? Because it's all around you. So our teams will never be able to live up to those expectations, right? It don't matter what people do. As we know, that's why I go back to basketball, stuff like that. We still got to go. It don't matter what these dudes, it don't matter what LeBron do, Jordan do. It don't matter what nobody does. A person's going to have their own opinion about who their GOAT is, right? So if we basing all of our work and everything we're doing off of that alone, we're going to always fall short. But that's tough when y'all are bowling, because it's all about positioning, movement, focus, and anything that's off can throw your ball off. You know what I'm saying? And now you off. Now you just define it. I'm bowling. I'm just terrible right now. You know what I'm saying? I can't imagine being in that type of situation, but it has to strengthen you if you can approach it a little bit differently.
And that's why I think bowling is, if you get the mental aspect down and you have a decent physical game, you're going to outbeat the guys that have the best physical game with no mental game. If your mental game is about 80%, but your physical game is about 70%, you're going to beat the guy whose mental game is 50%, but his physical game is 100% all the time.
Yeah, because you got people out here that be beating the ball return, throwing bowling balls, kicking them, and it's I'm grateful I don't.
I do it every now and then. I'm one of those people.
I get, because I think for me personally, it's more internal.
Yes.
It's always my fault. I'm not a person that really blames. I think with me, and I'm asking you this, Scotty, when you hear someone come to you and I don't understand why practice doesn't equate when I play the game. When the game is on the line, why when I can do it in practice, but I can't do it when the game is on the line. And I think that's where my frustration be. I don't know if it's I'm putting too much on myself. I don't know if it's, I'm trying to win it all in one shot, or if my mind is just going a million miles per hour. What would you say to someone who comes to you, and just trying to understand why it doesn't equate to practice?
I think when you guys practice, it may not be the same environment. A lot of times, and I mean, I guess with anyone, sometimes it's like y'all don't have like where you could just scrimmage. It's just you bowling, right? You know what I'm saying? So you can never reach that level of when you're in that 10th frame and it's on the line. You can't practice that, unfortunately. You can only put yourself in a position to say, hey, I'm going to bowl this like I always bowl it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to approach this just like I always do. But what happens is the pressure, knowing that you have to come through in this moment, that starts to set in. And because at the end of the day, this isn't practice. Practice, you can go home and just say, hey, I got to keep doing it this way. I got to work on this. But this is the actual moment that you need to come through. I need you to take this shot. I need you to make this shot. So a lot of times that's when you start to react and the nerves and everything. But he just said earlier, this is where the mental comes in. And some of us got to understand, like, this is why when you're playing a singular sport and it's just you, it's hard for you to kind of receive. You can't receive a lot of encouragement. You don't encourage yourself as much as somebody else can encourage you. And so some people thrive better with a teammate. I'm a teammate guy. I thrive. I think LeBron's a teammate guy. But then you got people that talk about killer instincts and all of that. They could just come through it no matter what. This pressure don't faze me. I'm gonna approach it the same way I always approach it. And another thing is they define winning differently. They accept the outcome. If you're not able to accept the outcome, and it has to be one way, you only think about it from that one way. So now it puts you in the whole situation where, like Mr. said here, you know what I'm saying? Like, in that sense, it's like, I'm only thinking about it one way. I gotta come through. But your whole body changes. I think we gotta pay attention to our bodies a little bit more, and that's why I say we gotta look ourselves in the mirror and understand who you are, because pressure does different things to different people.
And you said something big right there. People define it different. And we have a I think me and Lane is fortunate to actually have and talk to one of the best in the game in Tyrone Stevens. And he says it all the time. He says, his mind, he works so hard to trust himself and understand his equipment, that like when he knows when he makes his change, he knows when to make his change, what to look for. And I think with bowling, it's so, I think people don't realize it's so meticulous that
a lot more than people would think.
Yeah, like for example, I can throw a ball, same line, same area, same spot, hit the same area, and leave a 10 pin, pick up another ball, do the same thing, the same exact thing, and strike. And he says it all the time. A lot of times where I'm so comfortable with doing that is because I work so hard and I trust myself. And then I asked him, I said, so what makes you trust yourself so much? And he says, I've been in the situations. He said, and I think he said he bowled the Rodman 6 times before he even cashed. And there's people who go to the Rodman like 2 times and don't do well. They're like, I'm never going back. So to have that, I think that is one thing that we do have in common here in Georgia, like I said. And he's pretty much like the LeBron of the bowling world, like real talk. Like he is the Michael Jordan, of our time right now. Because and then also while I'm mentioning him, I do got to give him a big congratulations, because
I was just about to say that
he just got inducted into the TNBA Hall of Fame. And the crazy part about him, just to give you an idea, Jeff, I think Tyrone, he claims he's 55. I think he said 55, something like that.
Something like that.
Man don't look over 40, to be honest with you. But he's like in the prime. Like, and I tell him all the time, I said, when I see you, you kind of give me hope, because I'm like, I'm in my 30s and you're in your 50s doing this. And that can only mean it can only get better. But like I said, right now, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm putting the work in, I'm putting the numbers in league. But then when I go to tournaments, it's like, yo, why is it not equating? And like you just said, it's because at times, you know, your body is different. You can't simulate that pressure. When I'm practicing, my mind isn't on, oh, I'm beating the field of 55, 105, or however many is at that tournament. My mind on when I'm practicing is like, all right, let me get through these games. Let me work on this stuff, and hopefully it will translate. But, you know, I also tell people, you know, in bowling, you got to kind of give yourself grace. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not practicing and you're not doing the things that the others is doing, like Lane said, a lot of people have been going to the bowling factory. A lot of people, you know, since they put it out here, it's a bowling training center that's out here. And if you're not doing those things, then, you know, why are you putting that pressure on yourself to try to come out here and win? And I think one of the most frustrating things in Georgia, and Lane could probably agree to this, is we'll have somebody come to the tournament and it's just their day. It's just their day. I know for sure this guy don't put the work in that I put in. He don't practice like I practice, but it's just his day. And I think that's another frustrating thing.
That's very frustrating.
Because it's like
it's one of those things where it's like this guy doesn't practice.
Mm-hmm.
I practice, you know, at one point I was practicing every night after league.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I was practicing 4 nights a week, working and working and working. This dude never practices. He bowls league once a week. He came in and whacked me, and I didn't even cash. I was like, and it's like one of those things, that's one of the more frustrating things.
Yeah. So, Jeff, I'm going to ask you, why is it, I ain't going to say how can we, or we'll do both. How can we and why is it that other people's success can frustrate an athlete?
It's the comparison, right? And it's the thing. We are, if we're outside, if we're not the right, you constantly looking at the outside, you know what I'm saying, instead of looking at within, you're gonna continue to fall short. Because it's simple, you know, they simplify it. It's like run your own race, be all. What you just told me about the Hall of Famer, you said Tyrone, right? You know, it was something big what resonated with me. He goes to those, you say he went to with the Robin. He went 6 times before he cashed, but that's the practice. The practice isn't just going to a lane and practice. The practice is going to be you playing as many tournaments as you can to allow your body and allow you to be comfortable with just being there. When you just comfortable with being there and you have no expectation, yes, it is. Ultimately, we all want to win. But again, I say you define it. That person that's just coming in, not practicing, he actually may not expect to win, but he's the most relaxed and he's okay with whatever this outcome is about to be. So now he's bowling a lot different because you coming in with the expectation of winning. And now you're at level 10 because you recognizing that this person didn't put in the work that you put in. Well, the only thing that's different is he's more relaxed or she's more relaxed than you are. They're not approaching it the way you are. They're coming in and I'm just enjoying myself and I'm having a good time. And I'm bowling this ball. And I do understand what I need to do to make sure, as far as the game compete. But I don't have the pressure of y'all don't expect me to win. There's no pressure on him. He's playing with house money, so they don't expect that from me. And he probably or she probably ain't put it on themselves. That's the state of mind that I believe in competition we all want to get to. but it's us personally that gets in the way of that. That's why I said it's an individual thing that we have to evaluate. I'm glad you was open, Lane, to be more transparent, as well as you, Trail, to say, hey, this is what I struggle with. I'm going hard, but then as soon as it goes wrong, it goes back to the top mentality. And that's no disrespect to you. I think us as people, as human beings, we look at how it is. It's frustrating. And then whatever that reaction is, y'all told me y'all kicking bowling balls. Now, I'm going to tell you, that's like punching the dude with a helmet on the field, man. I don't know about y'all, but I got my toes out right now. Ain't no way in hell I'm kicking a bowling ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care how mad I am. I'm not kicking that ball.
The bowling ball wins every single time.
So that's the thing. Think about how frustrating you got to get to not think about the fact that you're about to break your foot at this point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that's the same mentality you got to get to when it comes out of that lane. I'm not thinking about the outcome of me bowling at this moment. I'm just going to bowl and just react and do what I got to do. But it's hard because people would think that you're saying, hey, well, you're not trying to win. I am trying to win. The goal is to try to win. But if I put too much of that expectation on me, because I know for me, now I'm going to lose the sight of how to win, you know, and what's the position for me to win. I'm going to lose that. It's just like the shooting a jump shot. The pressure going to the finals. You guys was Luka first finals. This is a environment. I've never been here before. But the more you go, LeBron James, the easier it becomes, you know, because for you, it's like, hey, I've been here before. That's the same thing that Tyrone was saying. I'm going to keep going to the limit because at least I can say I've been here 10 times before, so I know how to approach this. The nerves ain't there no more. I'm just coming in trying to bowl, try to be better every single day. One day I'll be the best in that moment, and I'll catch out. But it's hard for people to get there because it's like, I got to always be great. That's unrealistic expectations. Your time going to come when you're going to lose. And can you lose? You know, boxing, can you lose? Can you bounce back from that loss? We know Adrian Broner in boxing. He has not bounced back from that man lost since because he never been. People they've been at the losing spot. You know what I'm saying? And for them mentally, they don't lose. Losing is not an option for me. You know, so those things, it's hard. That's a lot of pressure on yourself. You know, so it's a thin line though, because I know some people will say, nah, no matter what, I ain't losing. You will. You know, you will.
You're always going to lose.
You're always going to lose. So that's what I'm saying with bowling. I remember when I used to bowl with Trail, I know the weight of the ball, everything matters. Your whole body, your shift. I mean, if you got a bad knee, you got a bad wrist. If you had a bad day, your lady pushed you off, your man pushed you off, your kids going crazy, life hitting you. Y'all are human beings now. You know what I'm saying? Just y'all are, professionals, becoming professionals, whatever that may be, to relax in that state of environment. And it's like, this is my only moment of freedom at this place, you know. And when somebody takes it away from you, or you put the expectation of it being taken away because you lost, you explode. But you're not exploding because you lost. You probably explode something else going on, you know. So that's the tough part.
Yeah, and that's that. You said a lot of good things in there too. Real quick, this guy named Ricky Clark wants to tell you happy birthday.
Oh, my man. And his birthday today, something. His birthday today too. His birthday coming up. I know it's soon. Or
you too,
yeah, I appreciate it, bud. Yes, sir. I ain't heard from him in a minute.
Now, Jeff said something about being relaxed and expectations. Lane, let me ask you: when you go to a tournament, like, what do you do to relax, and like, what is your expectations going to each tournament?
I never really do anything to relax. That's the problem. No matter what, and I was talking to Chris about this, is I'm always nervous. Every time I bowl nationals, if I bowl, not really league, but like tournaments, I get nervous. I don't relax. And that's one of the biggest things, especially when I put a bunch of money up in brackets. You worry about the brackets. So, but what was the second part of the question? I forgot. It was
what is your expectations normally when you walk into a tournament?
I usually just try and break even, get my money back.
Right.
And I think that's another thing that a lot of bowlers struggle with, is that they go and they put a bunch of money into brackets and they're like, oh God. And I struggle with that too. I did that at nationals. I'm like, oh God, I just put this amount of money in brackets in, like, you know, they start shaking. But the thing is that you have to realize what. And Jason Donarski told me this when we were out there bowling. He's like, once you hand that money over, it's gone until you go and get it back. So now you got to bowl like you want it. And so the expectations should always be, no matter what, you should always come in with the mentality of, I'm going to win this. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that I've been fortunate enough to, I'm going to bring up Tyrone again, to have conversation with Tyrone on and off the lanes. Yeah. And one of my favorite things he's ever told me was when we, everybody knows, if you know me, I hate Woodstock. I do not like that bowling center. Me and that center do not get along. And I was talking to Tyrone about it one night, and he goes, well, see, that's where I'm different. He goes, I show up to every tournament at that bowling alley until I win. And that's something that we struggle with. It's like, oh, I bowled bad here, I'm never going here again. Whereas the guys that are good, like Tyrone, they go and they're like, oh, no, I'm going to show that center that how good I am.
Yeah, I try to do that on our
have the expectations of, we're there to win. I'm not here to cash. I'm not here to break even. I'm here to win and show all of you that I belong here.
Yeah, I tried to do that on Stale, but it didn't work.
They're worried about money. Yeah, exactly. David said it. They're worried about money. Yeah. And I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I go to nationals, you know, I put hundreds of dollars into brackets. I'm sitting there like, you know, I do math in my head. I'm like, oh God, I could shoot 2-0 this game. Is that going to look good for brackets? Or like even in league, I'm like, you know, I put $100 into league brackets and I'm like, oh God, I shot 230 that game. I might be good for half. You know, it's one of those things where we worry about the money too much.
Now, let me ask you this. Because it was when I first got into bowling, it was a little weird how much people, and still is a little bit weird with the money and the importance of the money. And I think you can answer this too, Jeff. Do you think that is more personal off the lanes when people are putting that much money in brackets and stuff?
It depends. I mean, some people that, you know, I'm not really that way. I'm just there to try and make more. I'm not really worried about I'm there to try and make more. It's like there are some people who will put, you know, all their money that they own in the brackets and then they lose it all and they're like, oh my God. But like, I'm just there to double it up. Like, right. But I think that's I think a lot of problem is that people will spend more than they really should.
Oh, that's a big problem.
And I mean, I'm the same way with a casino, but it's like people spend more than they should. And that's where the money problem comes into play.
Yeah. Real quick, we love you too, Tyrone, and congratulations
Tyrone,
again.
Congratulations.
Congratulations on the Hall of Fame inductee of the TNBA. Congratulations again.
I can't wait to see you on Wednesday nights again, bro.
But yeah, I agree with you as far as the money thing. I see that a lot. There are some great bowlers out there, and they try to make it a living through brackets. And one thing about me, there's only a certain place where I would do brackets. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll do cut the field because I can lose $10. Mm-hmm. You know, I can lose $20. I can lose $40. But I started notice this, and that's a new word. Notice this. Right. I started noticing this about me is I started to realize I'm not helping my team because I'm not worried about the game. I'm worried about brackets too much. Mm-hmm. So I actually only do brackets at Vegas military tournament. I really only like doing brackets when there is a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about like when the tournament is a full house. Because like you said, I'm mainly, once I hand that money in, I don't really think about it with the big tournaments because if there's more people in the house and I shoot bad, I don't know. In my mindset, somebody else shot bad too. It wasn't just me. So I might squeak through. But like in our regular tournaments at Southern that may have 50 people there, I'm a little bit more worried about it. So I'm not thinking about my task at hand. I'm thinking about the brackets. You know what I'm saying?
It's like I have people that come up to me, you know, like in my Tuesday night league, because it's more of a fun league, and they're like, you know, do you bowl for a living? And it's like, no, I have an actual job, because bowling is not profitable unless you're AJ Rice, or unless you're, you know, unless you're on tour, unless you're one of these top-notch guys, you're not going to make a living off bowling. I mean, to be good enough in bowling to make a full living, you have to be so much better than what you think you have to be.
Yes.
Because, I mean, I've had weekends where, you know, I'll go to a tournament, I'll make $3,000, but then the next weekend I'll lose $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those, like, bowling, it's side money. You have your real money, then you have your bowling money.
And another thing too about real quick before, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I wanted to tap into what you just said about, and it goes back to kind of what Scotty was talking about earlier. And I'm sorry, guys. We call him Scotty. His name is Jeff. I don't know. They called him about 15 different names. I know everybody's like, what is his name? Is it Scotty or is it Jeff? But one thing that he was saying too was the preparation and the practice. Those guys, and it's another thing like we talked about with Tyrone, those guys have constantly been in those pressure situations all the time. You see them in everything. All win, lose, or draw, they're in everything. Whether they finish first, 5th, 40th, whatever, they're coming back. One reason why I stopped watching the PBA, and I recently just started back watching them. The main reason was I feel like if I had the same access that they have, I can be on TV too.
I've always said that.
If I can bowl all day long, have my equipment, any equipment just given to me like that, I'm sorry, and there's no disrespect, but if I feel like I have the same availability where I can walk into a bowling alley and say, put this pattern on and it gets done, or do this and it gets done, I feel like I can be there too. So one thing I had to do, and it was, and not to switch subjects, but one of my therapists told me is the things that trigger you or overly stimulate you, you got to do it in portions. You got to you got to know, you got to have control of it. For example, and like I said, I'm sorry to switch gears like this, but it was a point where every time I seen something on police brutality, I was headstrong. I was in it. I had to watch it. I'm in it. I'm paying attention. Who did what? Who said what? And then it was like, yo, those are triggers for you. And it kind of equates to the same as bowling. You got people that be out here watching these shows, listening to these guys, trying to mimic everything that they're doing, but they're forgetting to find their own identity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You got to go out and practice, and everybody wants to be EJ Tackett right now. But, yo, I can't throw the ball like I broke my wrist in the military. There's no need for me to be practicing to bowl like EJ Tackett and my wrist or my body. I have to bowl and perfect Martrell Bentley because that's what EJ Tackett did. EJ Tackett perfected what he does. And I think that's another thing with a lot of sports, and even in basketball. Like I remember, when growing up, one of my favorite basketball players was Rod Strickland. But I didn't have handles growing up. I developed them late. But growing up, I played defense and I had a set shot. Like, and I'm glad I mentioned that because I mentioned that up here before. Scotty could tell you, my defense was impeccable. Like he been on that court with me. Like, hey, I know a lot of y'all be rolling your eyes when I be saying it. He's seen it. I had a set shot and defense. And he could say I can guard 1 through 5. I don't care how big you are. There were plenty of times they thought we was about to fight. They'd be like, nah, you're not just gonna push me, brother. But that was my identity on the basketball court. That's why Scotty and his brother and other guys love playing with me, is because Martrell stayed in his lane. I wasn't trying to be the point guard. I wasn't trying to be, they knew one thing they was going to get out of me is I was going to knock the jumper down and I was going to play defense. And I think in bowling, we need to realize the same thing. What up, Jam? What up, honey? We got to realize the same thing in bowling is like you got to, yes, what Lane does works for Lane. I can't come out here and mimic what Lane does and expect to be successful if that's not part of my physical game or if I don't have the same capabilities he has. You know what I'm saying? Lane is two-handed. Lane may like to bowl urethane. Urethane may not fit my game. You know, I know you don't like bowling urethane. I'm just using an example. But I hear this a lot when I talk, such and such does this, so let me do this. Like, well, why aren't you practicing that? Why are you doing that at league and at a tournament? This ain't the place to do something new, you know, especially when you have a team behind you. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like when people start to understand themselves, and I hope I can tell this story. But one time I was bowling next to Tyrone. And one thing about the way Tyrone teaches is he doesn't teach you what he's doing. He teaches you what he sees you doing and what you
should be doing.
Right. So one day we was at a sports shot tournament, and he was like, dude, you're coming up around the ball too much. You need to come behind the ball. Now, if anybody's seen Tyrone bowl, when there gets to a certain point, he's the loft king. Like, he knows how to loft the ball. He didn't say, hey, man, you need to loft them fronts. Like, you see what I'm doing to get there. He didn't say that. He said, hey, you need to come behind the ball. And then as I started doing that, I started to see the difference. And then I'm going to practice it because that's within me. That was within me. You know, I'm not going out there trying to loft it like he is, because that may work for his game, you know. And I think a lot of times, even like in other sports, like, everybody wants to be Steph Curry all the time. Like, it drives me crazy as a sports official to see these kids shooting these shots, and I'd be like, dude, that is not your game. Like, Jeff, you got a son that's playing basketball now. Kids, first thing they do when they touch a basketball, where they go?
3-point line.
They be like, dude, you just gonna forget. Like,
I could have even answered that one.
This whole middle, this whole elbow, this whole block, this free throw line extension, you just gonna miss all of that. You gonna go straight to the 3-point line. You know what I'm saying? And not even to the 3-point line. You damn near half court. Like what are you doing? You know, and it's the same as bowling. Like, I can't be the next Jaime. I can't be the next David Spar. I can't be Tyrone. Now I can learn from them. That's, you know, but it still has to fit within me. And I think a lot of times with bowlers, get it out your mouth. Get it out your mouth. I'm sorry, y'all. A lot of times with bowlers, and even in sports, it's not just with bowlers. Like, we have to understand what we do and what we do well, and try to stay there and in between those lines. But mentally, I think that's where a lot of people fail is mentally we try, and Jeff said it earlier, it's the comparison. You know, mentally it's we got to stop comparing ourselves. And I hear it all the time to other people. But I think, as far as for me, being honest, I think it's the self-pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I think I put way too much pressure on myself.
I agree.
Like, if I'm like just being transparent, there's times I'm on the bowling lane and I can feel myself standing through the floor. Like I'm gripping my feet is so planted.
They're planted.
Like like if you push me, I'm tipping over on the floor. Like it's and that's just the pressure that I'm putting on myself to even move. And it got to a point in my bowling game where my mind was going so much, I had to sit there and literally tell myself, clear your mind. Like before I move, I have to literally tell myself, clear your mind. And I can't move until my mind is blank. Because if I'm thinking about something, seeing something, it's like it's like a cat with a laser pen. Like if somebody bowling beside me, I'm like, it's and it's crazy. Like I think like don't get me wrong, like I have full confidence in myself. I feel like, and if I'm being honest with you, I feel like I am I am a frame away from being one of the best bowlers out here. The only problem is I put too much pressure on myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of times, if I'm being totally honest, a lot of times why I don't put myself in lineups. It's like I want it so bad for my team, but then if I don't, I'm when I'm bowling team events, I don't care about me. I just don't want to let you down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that pressure, including with the pressure I already put on myself, man, sometimes I explode like mentally. You know what I'm saying? And it's tough. It's tough.
No,
But
that's good, man. And that's, I think what you said earlier, going back to what you said, you had to tell yourself to clear your mind. You
mm,
guys not, I don't want to say you guys have, but it'll be good to understand you enough to develop your own process. You know, we we human beings, so we have to know like it's things that we like, we things we dislike, it's things that works for us. Like you said, certain things work for you. And if you go outside of that, then now you're already defeating yourself. You know, you're
mm,
already kind of in a defeated state. So what you're saying, even in this situation, is because of who you are as a human being, it starts to trickle over in competition. When now, hey, I'm trying to do this for you, and if I don't show up, it puts you in a place where it's like, look, man, I ain't do, you explode, but that's who you
yeah.
are, right? That's who you are at the core, and that's why you gotta, even in that situation, it's also like it's still the outcome. It's only two ways. Either you win or lose, but it's like you didn't lose a friend in that moment. You didn't lose this person not gonna not talk to you no more. But I know sometimes in money on I'm not sure the circumstance or the situations in that particular situation, but I know things change. But that's the thing. For everything that's going on, and when you approach that thing, y'all gotta have your own process to relax, because what's happening is your body will start to take over, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't even control it because mentally you lost control. And that's basically what it sums up to be in competition. And it takes us, we put ourselves in this place because we was never, a lot of us wasn't given any techniques to how to deal with us versus
Yes.
how to deal with this situation. So somebody could tell me, hey, this is what you need to do, but he still hasn't spoke from my perspective of understanding enough. So when you said he told you, come up behind the ball, he looked at your technique versus me telling you to loft the ball, like you said, that was a perfect example. So that's what we now individually, each individual person have to understand who they are and be okay with their strategy and enhance it and adjust it based on what's working and what's not. But you gotta stay in that lane, you said earlier, Trevor.
Yeah.
You gotta stay in that lane, because anything outside of that, once you lose control mentally, physically, emotionally, the competition is over. You defeated yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
the real competition is you. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
lane, it's not bowling, it's you. So individually, each person that's competing got to really deal with themselves. That's why we do meet people who is like, by any means necessary, I'm gonna hit this court or I'm gonna hit this lane and nobody's stopping me. Some people are really good in that lane, You know, that's what they're really good at. But they're not good at friendly approach. They're not good at, you know, certain things they may not be
Right.
really good at because of that mentality. So that's the difficult part.
So let me ask you, because I asked Lane about what he does to relax. What is one of the best ways, Scotty, would you tell someone to well, not the best, because I know to each his own, but what is one of the ways that
Yeah.
people can relax going into competition?
It's really already accepting whatever the outcome is, right? I think again, you kind of one of my great friends, Kenny, used to always tell me is you begin with the end in mind. So if you already begin with the end in mind, when it happens, you're not surprised by it. So there's no reaction by it. You got to create
Begin
your
with the
own.
end in mind. I like that.
Yeah, you got to create your own ending. You got to create your. We all in our own dream. You know, y'all could tell me y'all the best bowlers in the world. Who am I to tell you you're not? You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you you're not. You know,
Right.
who am I? It don't matter if you only bowl a low, you feel like you the best bowler and you still ain't never bowled a 300 or whatever the score may be, and you average, you still believe that you are the best bowler. Nobody can tell you that until you start believing it. You know, now when you start believing other people's, you know, perception or opinion, whatever that may be, that's where the struggle comes in at. So when I say people need to, how they can relax is again, you before you approach it, you said that you're trying to develop that thing where what's your approach? You see in basketball, people put in music, certain things they listen to, certain things relax them. You really have to find that. But this will happen for you in real life. That's why I love sports. Sports is such, I mean, it helps us, especially us. I know I can only speak from a man perspective, but especially as men, because in the midst of competition, we're competing everywhere we go on the job, as the title we have, as fathers, as men, whatever that may be. And we're constantly in that state of mind. So these developments that you have, they will work everywhere. So once you get this approach, you know, how you deal with these things, it'll work in every type of environment. I wanted to ask you earlier, Lane, did you struggle to take tests?
Did I struggle with what?
Take tests, like
Oh yeah,
tests,
I
school
can't take
tests.
tests.
Yeah, so it says test anxiety because for you, getting it wrong is not an option.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people it's winning and learning. I think people are starting to come into that concept. Me getting it wrong didn't mean that I failed. It's just I needed to learn I got it wrong. So now that I know I got it wrong, I know the right answer moving forward. So when you adjust, the adjustment is we need it. That's why I love the competition because if I keep going, if I come start bowling for 6 months, I'll be on the other side. I'll be a part of the outsiders. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna be because I'm amongst people who's gonna constantly help me develop. So I'm not thinking about I have to win. I'm just trying to learn. So the losing is going to be the best thing for me in that moment. When I told you earlier when I started, I'm gonna have to take a test. And I hope not. I hope I don't fail it. I know it's what I'm trying to accomplish. But if I fail it, I gotta accept that the failing was there only because I need to still learn a little bit more. But it's hard for people because it's like losing and losing, failing. They may have been raised that way. I don't know what happened. Some things probably happen over life where that never was an option, but it is an option. It's a good option because it allows you to now become a teacher because you learned. You know what I'm saying? And because we gotta accept those spaces. Once you accept those spaces, you'll probably relax a little bit more because you're okay with being in that space, and it didn't define that you was a horrible bowler, or you're not a good bowler, or you're not working towards that opportunity. You know that opportunity.
No, and I think that's big because like you said, I go in there with the end in mind. And I like that because like you said, I think in competition and in life, when we watch a movie, we're looking to see how it's going to end.
Mm-hmm.
We're not. I mean, yes, you may predict how it went, but we still. I mean, how it ends, we still don't know. But I think in competition, we already try to predict the winner in ourselves, and then when that doesn't happen, it's a bad movie. We're ready to turn it off. And I think it's like you said, each his own. It could be music. It could be it could be the green stuff to help you relax. we know y'all see my posts. It could be people who smoke 1,000 cigarettes, during league to try to calm themselves down. But it's one thing about especially I'm glad Julian's up here too, because
what a guy.
And it's crazy. We have some real good bowlers that's timing in, and there's people who I look at, and they just be cute, cool as a cucumber. Julian, Jaime, even David, Tyrone. It's like these guys, and I love the confidence in them, because it's like the confidence with them matches their game, and like it's crazy. Like I think Jaime and Julian is two people that I always see bowling. I'm trying to think of another one, but they're two people who I see bowling. They just, like, every ball out their hand looks good. But there are two people who I always see throw the ball with ultimate confidence. Like them two. I'm trying to think of somebody else. Maybe Greg Black. Maybe him.
Boy's an animal.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about, like, just walk around confidently. And that's something I strive. Like and I agree with you what he just said. He said the confidence comes from putting in the work and knowing our game. And I think practicing in bowling is different from other sports, because if I'm practicing in basketball, I can practice elbow jumpers. I can practice 3-point free throws. There's different aspects. A lot of people, when they go to practice in sports, in bowling, they're scoring. They're trying to score. Oh, I shot 279 in practice. I shot 211 in practice. I shot this in practice. But it doesn't equate to the game. Like it's just weird sometimes. And I'm a confident person, but bowling is one of those sports where you have to be confident in yourself, because, like I said, in basketball, you don't have to score to be a good basketball player.
Yeah.
You got to score to be a good bowler.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, your confidence, I can't walk into a tournament, look to my right and see Ty, and look to my left and see Julian and be like, well, I guess I'm fighting for third place. No, I'm going to win. Like,
yeah,
it's like, okay, they're gonna finish second and third. I'm finishing first. It's one of those, like, you can't walk. Bowling is one of those sports you cannot walk in with any sort of down mentality.
Yeah,
you have to walk in with your chest puffed out. Like Julian said, he walks in with confidence no matter where he goes. It's if you walk in doubting yourself, you're not gonna bowl good. And people have to realize another thing too is that you're going to learn more from your losses than you will your wins.
Yep. Mr. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Mr. Dunsberry in TikTok, he said that in order to improve, you have to do something wrong and know how to improve it. And and I agree. You got to practice, actually using it in competition, regardless of your score, and reverting back to what you have been doing before practicing. And that's one thing that I also try to do is I try to remember what I did last tournament wrong and improve it. I'm always trying to improve
it the next time you bowl.
Yeah, always trying to improve. I'm sorry, y'all. I got this.
And the thing is, too, is that, like, with bowling, we can come up with all these, like you said, with basketball, you can practice those 3-pointers, you can practice the elbows, you can practice everything. But with bowling, when it comes to bowling nationals, We can't practice nationals.
Yeah.
We can't practice. We can practice on Sports Shot, but it's going to be way different when we actually show up for a Sports Shot tournament. Because if you practice on Sports Shot, you can get an idea of, okay, I can hit my mark. But when you go to a Sports Shot tournament, people are going to be breaking the lanes down differently. Somebody may have been throwing urethane on one pair. You may go to another pair where they threw 500 grit the whole time. You can never replicate what you're going to see in a tournament. And you have to learn to see different things quickly.
And I think that's a good point, Monty. I think one of the goals, because I do that for myself, is I always try to improve. Like I'm always trying to do better than I did the last time. And even in my year, I always try to average higher than I did the previous year. That's normally be my goal. Unfortunately, this year came up a little short because I started taking a couple of lessons, and rest in peace, George Gaines. Right
bro, that one broke. That one broke.
Yeah, that one hurt. I ain't gonna lie, that one hurt. I used to travel with him to different tournaments. We had just went to Memphis, and had a good time. So George is a good guy. But George told me, I think literally 2 weeks before he passed, he was like, I went and got a lesson, and my instructor told me, what I'm teaching you, you have to give yourself grace, because he was like, your game is going to go down because you're learning something new. He said, you got to give yourself time to learn this new thing to add it to the game.
To get it
because
back up.
I was naive. I was probably bowling the best I've been bowling in my life. And I thought me taking a lesson would mean, okay, things are going to get better from here. Like if I'm already here and I'm learning, I'm only going to go up.
Go up.
Yeah, like that. But in some sports, as you're learning this new thing, you go down and then you come back up. And it's a weird thing and a weird expectation. And then when he told me that, I just started relaxing. I was like, all right, because I ended up taking a lesson like maybe within 3 weeks of each other. And my instructor was like, hey, man, you and this lesson was from Deontay Fields, who's now running the Bowling Factory. He was like, and he came and he was subbing with us on Thursday. He was like, hey, man, your pitch looks good. He was like, everything. Hey, man, you look a lot better than what you did. But it did not reflect in my scores.
Yep.
You know, and I was getting frustrated. Not only did I take that lesson, I went down from 16 to 15. And if anybody knows, going down from 16 to 15, the ball 15, they hook a lot more than 16.
The core numbers are insanely different.
Yeah, so I wasn't a person who wanted to see my ball hooked. I wanted to go down and in. You know, but when George told me that, I started giving myself grace, and then I started, you know, doing everything far as numbers wise, and then listening. Hey, you got to learn to play left. You got to learn to play right. You got to learn to play the middle. You got to learn to play tight. You got to learn to play when it got free hook. So then I started using all of that, and then my scores started coming back up where I started seeing progress again. But the progress that I saw was because I was giving myself grace.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would have gave myself grace earlier, then the improvement that I was looking for was already there. Because even though I didn't see it, that my instructor he was like, oh, I don't know what else to tell you. Like you're doing everything right. He said, now it's just putting it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start to give yourself grace, and even in these tournaments, talking to, you know, learning not to be so stressed about the expectations and just worrying about doing what you can control. Like I said, tonight, I lost by 16 pins, but I had a 7-10. I didn't split all night. The last game I split twice. I had a set pocket 7-10 off a 4-bagger. Now, we all know sometimes that's just bad luck.
That's how it is. It's bowling, man.
It's just bad luck sometimes. And instead of ending my night there, I still pushed forward, and then I ended up splitting again, which that was the ultimate that really did me in. But being honest with you, and then y'all see how my spirits are now, I was okay with the results because I shot very well. You know, it was probably my best 4-game set, second best 4-game set in a tournament that I've done. Like I was plus 140. And I was proud of myself. I'm like, all right, you're getting better, you're progressing. But it was one of those things that I'm not gonna lie, I did have some pressure that I was building on myself because I will be a little drastic right now because when I be telling y'all, my feet be digging into that ground, like I be taking my socks off and toenails being like that's how much I be digging my feet into the ground because of so much pressure that I put on myself. You know, and I think too, which I learned tonight, here's something that I learned tonight too, was I'm so used to planting because like I said, I dig my feet so much into the ground. Tonight, at Norfolk, Jaime, I don't know if you know, I'm out here in Norfolk. I bowled at AMF Norfolk and it's slippery as hell. But once I got comfortable with sliding, I was throwing the ball very well. And me sliding helped me relax my feet, relax my body. You know what I'm saying? So it was something else that I picked up today that I'm going to be working on, you know, possibly adding more sliding to my game, you know. So it's a tough bowling is you know what I equate bowling to? It's like chess. You know, you can't be a grandmaster without studying.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know every single situation, every possible move. You know what I'm saying? And you got to know your opponent's every move. You know, I know if I see his shot taking off, then and I'm up, hey, I might want to start adjusting.
I want to move a little bit.
Yeah, so it's something like that. Like that chess and bowling is very similar because you got to know every single aspect of it. But you also with chess, you can't give your hand, you can't get, you know, play your cards too early, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it is definitely a mental game when you start, because if you open the first game, what the highest you can get is what, 279, 278?
If you open first frame, yeah, it goes to 270, 279
yeah, like,
or 8, whatever, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So it's like, it's like and it was crazy because opening in the first used to calm me down. I open in the first or I spare in the first. Hey, I know I can't get 300.
I got it out of the way.
Yeah, I can't get 300, so that's out the window. You know what I'm saying? And it was crazy because one time, and like matter of fact, we were bowling against y'all. When my mom came down.
Oh yeah.
And I go 299 first game.
299. Yep, I remember.
And the funny thing was, I always say, and I don't know, and I'm gonna ask you this too after I'm done. Stop, girl. The first one in the 10th, to me, is the hardest.
Always the most nerve. That's me up.
If I get the first one in the 10th, the rest, whatever happens after that, I'm good.
It's different for me because with me, I'm always like, all right, I got the front 9. I was like, because I'm always usually all in brackets. So it's like, first hit in the 10th, locks out 279s, I'm clear.
Right.
So it's like the first one of the 10th I get nervous for, and then after that I'm like, whatever, I don't care. It's just a number at this point. But bowling has got to be the craziest game because, You could throw the ball, feel like you shot 279, but look up at the scoreboard at the end and you shot 182.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have days where you feel like you shot 182, you look up, you shot 279.
Yep.
So it's like my main goal for the next season is going to be throw one more better shot than you did the last game. And that's kind of what you got to go in with the mentality of is if you throw 8 good shots in a game, you're gonna make good money in a tournament. If you throw 4 bad shots, or if you throw 4 good shots in a game, you're not making money. You have to focus on throwing good shots. Don't focus on last frame. Don't focus on the next frame. Focus on the frame you're throwing now.
And that's realistic. I like that. Making real. Now, Jeff, let me ask you this: how important is it to make realistic goals for an athlete in heavy competition?
What's realistic?
For whatever within that person.
Oh,
Personal
well,
goals.
I mean, yeah. I think, I know it may seem like I'm repeating myself, but definitely, again, when you make your goal personally is understanding you first. I think, again, that's only what it is, knowing you. A lot of people don't know themselves and they're trying to define themselves based on their competition they're going against. They're trying to find it. So use in that space where you're trying to find it, the goal could be, hey, I'm trying to find out what's my approach. Use 2 handballs, 1 hand. If it's curve, if it's straight down to go in, like you talked about earlier, I'm not sure how to define it, but you got to know what's best for you. I think why it's important first to know to set those realistic goals, but if you can't set realistic goals if you don't have that part first. And that's just the definition of you and how you are in competition, what player you are, what I'm saying, what type of approach you need to have, what's your game plan, how do you relax, all of that goes into it. So I think it's the most important in anything that you come into. Some people have a goal and it's just, hey, I just want to compete, and I'm okay with the outcome. Those are the people you got to be careful with, because those people are really good because they don't care about what the outcome's going to be. They're just in the space and they're zoned in and they're just relaxed and just who they are. So, again, you got to know, who you are when it comes down to that space. For me, I would have to come into a space of competition. I've learned this over time. I got to come in with the end, begin with the end in mind, knowing that, hey, at the end of the day, I'm just here to compete. And I'm going to always, I'm going to always win based on my expectations because I'm getting to the end of that, But some people shy away from competition. That's the biggest thing.
Terry is a fool. Terry talking about my goal this year is to be one of Trail's untouchables. He talking about putting you in. Hey, man, don't forget your jersey at home. You be all right. But I think that is important, having realistic expectations. And like Scott said, I've always said to make smart goals by the season, stick to those and continue to focus on those. And I agree. I think a lot of times people's goals don't match their game.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, and let me know if I'm wrong with this, Jeff. It's hard to have a goal without having practice behind it.
That's why I say what's realistic.
Mm.
It only becomes realistic when you're actually working towards, you put in the work to say, hey, this can be a goal. Like if I say, hey, my goal is to run a 4.3 tomorrow, I ain't put no work in. No matter how hard I run tomorrow. I can't get mad because I ain't run that 40. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
That's what I'm saying. Is that you got real. He say smart goal. It's a realistic goal, and it's being measured. It's being timed. I mean, the R is for the realistic. It's like, listen. At the end of the day, it's based on, hey, I can reach this right here, and that's why I say in space of competition. One thing that you can say is I can complete frames at this level of competition. When you talked about, I think you said earlier, Lane, when you have Tyrone on one side and I don't know who the other person you said, but you said, I'm going to beat these guys. Well, let's say you rolled a 299 and both of them rolled 300. Did you really have a bad day? You know what I'm saying? But it's
Yeah.
it's the fact that in your mind it could be saying, if you say, hey, well, if I can win, but that's why I say it now, it can change the perspective of what type of bowler you actually are. You know, so that's the thing. Like you talked about the score and everything. So the approach can be, at the end of the day, I'm just gonna bowl my lane, and as long as I'm relaxed. So I would say this: I would challenge both of you guys, and I know it's probably a hard challenge because you talked about money and a lot of things involved. Moving forward, the goal is to relax.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. Just to relax. If you're
That's
not
what-
relaxed, then you can expect the possible outcome of you kicking that ball again, Lane. You know what I'm saying? So the goal is to relax. You know what I'm saying? So I would challenge you to in that, but that's the hardest thing to do. I promise you. You reach that level, that can trickle over into other areas in your life. You get that same approach, and you'll reach higher levels than it was before. You know, did you have before?
And that's kind of like what Chris McMillan was talking about when I was on the phone with him last week. He's like, one of the things that he does, and he tells a lot of his people, is pick your favorite song and sing that song in your head. Match nothing too fast, nothing too slow, because your heart rate is going to match the song. If your heart rate gets too fast, you get anxious. If it gets too slow, you start really thinking. But if you keep it in the middle, you're focused on the song. You're not focused on the bowling, which is crazy because the last time I shot an 800, I didn't even know I shot 800. Because I really didn't. I actually was singing a song in my head all night. It was a song that was stuck in my head from the day. I was just singing it all night in my head. And I looked up at the end of the night and I was like, oh shit, I shot 803. I was like, I fully relaxed. I never felt anything. It's just when you have to keep something in your mind to relax.
That's good. What you did was you distracted yourself from reaching the place that the critiques, the own self-criticism. You distracted yourself from that. That never entered your mind. And that's why I'm saying, like, we accept too many things in our own minds. That's our fault. You know, and once we accept that, it stays there, and now the body starts to function based on what you accepted mentally. So what you just said was, I never gave myself an opportunity to be distracted by anything that entered my head. The only thing that was in my head was my song. So only thing you relied on, your body, your movements, was on your natural abilities of bowling that you knew for I don't know how long, you know, however long you've been bowling. So that's the thing. We have to distract ourselves from those spaces. You know, and like what Reggie just said, just have fun and bowl. But most people have a hard time having fun in competition. You gotta make competition fun, you know, but that's what redefining what competition is to you. You know, and if we can relax ourselves and understand, hey, I'm gonna compete and have fun in this competition, you gotta accept that it's a possibility you'll lose today. But you're in the highest level of competition, you know, and that's what you gotta be to take credit from, you know, for because most people will not enter that space because they've already defeated themselves mentally. I'm sure y'all got people that say, hey, I'm not coming to the tournament, but they're bold in the area they're comfortable. You know, like because they don't want to reach that space. They don't believe they're capable of being there. They don't believe they can accept the outcome. They got to get past that part. It's only us, you know. So we got to face the mirror. Everybody can't face the mirror.
That's tough. Yeah,
I like that.
Yes.
But what sucks about bowling too is that if you get put in a pressure situation when you're practicing, you cannot recreate that. Like, you can't practice being under pressure. You have to put yourself in that situation.
Yeah, Tyrone says that a lot.
You're going to fold the first couple times. And I've been there before. And now when I feel pressure, I'm kind of, except for like when I'm on a big stage or like, because I know a lot of people when they shoot 300, they're like shaking, they're nervous, they don't. But once you've been there before and been there a couple times, you don't notice it. But you have to get there. And I think but when you're practicing, you know, when I was a kid and I would practice, I would be like, oh, I need this strike to win the U.S. Open. But it's not the same. You know, it's nowhere near the same. You're never going to recreate that kind of pressure. And that's where I think when you're in a pressure situation, you have to think of something like a song, like Chris said, to get it off your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you will
No, that's
never
good.
recreate the pressure. I don't care what you do. I mean, even if you bowl somebody one-on-one and you look up and you're like, oh, I need the first hit in the 10th to beat them. Well, it's practice. You're not bowling for anything. Even if you're bowling for like just a little bit of money, it doesn't. You're not going to recreate the kind of pressure like when you need to step up and shoot a 300, or you need to strike out to win the league championship, or even if you want to go on a bigger stage, you're not going to recreate the same pressure striking out and beating some guy you're pot bowling for $20 compared to striking out and winning the US Open. You're never going to recreate that same pressure. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. But imagine
once you get in someone's head, you got them all night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Imagine those, Lane, what you just said, though. Imagine being in that situation before, and now it's your second time around, or your third time around, or your fourth. And I think that's what we was talking about earlier. Putting yourself at the highest level of competition, no matter the outcome. No matter if you don't feel like you're capable of winning, it's just placing yourself there. And the more you place yourself there, now you become comfortable being in that space, and now you relieve yourself of the expectation of how you need to bowl in this moment. You're just relaxed and going into that. But I say, Lane, you found the formula. You said the formula right there. You said, listen, I don't know what song that was, but you can find it.
He was listening to Ice Spice. He was like, "You think I was feeling you?"
Of course, bro. No, it's oh god, who Sexy Red, bro, Sexy Red.
Yeah, you better listen, man.
No, actually, I can tell you, it was "Look at Me" by Chris Brown and Busta Rhymes. I swear to God.
Wow.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, keep that. Like, don't underestimate that, because we are our biggest critics. You know, we are our biggest distractors. We are our biggest opponent. I'm telling you, that mirror is serious. So it's like, keep the formula and use that in different spaces. It's just the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. Everybody has different methods, different approaches, different interventions that may work for them, and we have to tap into those spaces, you know, as much as possible.
Yeah. And I would say one thing, and he's up here. One thing, Reggie, man, from the time I met Reggie, and he is super confident, but it equates in his game, and his confidence overtakes the opponent, because the opponent isn't even as confident in himself. And it's like Reggie can kind of smell blood, and he may not be the better bowler, but his confidence is going to overtake him. Like, I've seen him bowl people, you know, and I thought they had no chance, you know, and I'm like, and he's strike. I remember the first time I met him, and he threw a strike, and he yells, "I'm the best bowler in Atlanta," and I'm like, this mother is crazy.
He will get in your head and slap your brain around.
And won't say nothing bad about you, but just have full confidence in himself.
I've never heard Reggie say nothing bad about nobody, but my God, he will make you feel like you're stupid. And he'll make you feel like you suck.
Yeah, and the crazy
even
part
if you shoot 300 on him, he's gonna talk trash to you.
Oh yeah,
he's gonna stay in that.
Hey, I saw it happen last week. Last week when Darius Taylor shot 300, he was bowling against Reggie, and he was still talking shit the whole time. But another thing too, like his confidence is so big. I remember Justin Gibbons, before he even met him, he was like, "Hey man, who your buddy down there talking about? He the best in Atlanta. We could put some money." I'm like, "Hey Justin, calm down." I was like, that's his personality. He's that confident. Like, he don't care who it is or who it is. And I just got a new phone. I had broke my phone. So I just got a new phone, so I got to put that Justin Gibbons. And the same thing with Trey.
I was just about to ask you about that. I want to see that video, bro.
Oh yeah, I just got a new phone. I had broke my phone right after that. So, but I got a new phone. I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna have it out tomorrow. I promise.
Please.
I'm gonna have it out because it was hilarious.
I watched that whole because I saw it the next morning. I watched that whole thing, and I
Oh
could just
man,
I could see Justin in my mind.
man, it was hilarious. But that is, and then even in Justin, like I remember the confidence that he has. You know,
Oh God, yeah.
like his confidence is so through the roof that when it doesn't work, you know, he's the only one I know could shoot 760 and be kicking bowling balls.
I watched Justin shoot 850 something one night, and he was pissed.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's just how he is because
Right.
he expects himself to shoot 900. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's perfectly capable of it, but I mean, literally, he shot 856, I believe it was, and I mean, he was bad, but that's just how he is because he expects so much from himself.
Yep. And
Scott's 100% right on that one.
Yeah, Scott says if you practice one thing that you are uncomfortable doing, then you will have more confidence making the tougher shots. And I agree.
But yeah, that's just the pedestal that Justin puts himself on as somebody who is a Hall of Famer himself, and you know is another one of the greats around here. He just, I mean, if I shot 850, dude, I don't even know. I would have bought everybody dinner. I mean, I would have been so goddamn happy. But with Justin, he's like, oh, shit, that should have been the house record. And it's like, what?
Yeah, he
has so much confidence in himself and such high standards for himself that that's what he expects.
Yeah, Halton also said you have to set expectations, but not unrealistic expectations. If you expect to strike every time, you will never succeed. If you set a goal of hitting marks and executing shots, then you will see greater success. It's a mental battle of accepting the fact that you will never be perfect in bowling. Nobody is, period. But you have to set goals of being your best self. You also have to not worry about what others think about you. Who cares if you're constantly looking to impress others? I agree with that. One thing now, I think that's a great the way he ended it. I think that's a great conversation too, because I've seen it where bowlers put themselves out there, and it's weird to me. So for me, I see bowlers put themselves out there, and they get surprised or discouraged by criticism. For example, with me, I knew starting a UBA team at the time, not being a top bowler, I knew what it was going to come with. And Jeff will tell you one thing about me: if you put me in a pressure situation, I'm going to find a way. And I knew if I put myself in that situation, I was going to be better. What do y'all say with people who are, and even with this show, you know, people are going to criticize anything. You know, I get advice, I get it all, you know, the good and the bad and the ugly. But I knew that coming in because I'm putting myself out there. But what do y'all say to people who put themselves out there and they're kind of surprised by the criticism that they see and they let that affect them in the long run?
I believe that as a bowler, the more success you have, the more you're going to get criticized. And it's one of the craziest things in our sport because it's like I said, like I referring back to earlier when I was talking about Biloxi. I ran over Biloxi, but when it came down to it, it was, oh, he only bowls on house shot. That's why. Oh, he just matched up that weekend. Oh, he's not a good bowler. He just matched up. He got lucky. Anytime you win a tournament, most people, not everybody, but a lot of people try and take it away from you.
Oh, it's just his day.
It's just his day. Or, he got lucky. Oh, he just had a great weekend. Oh, he matched up. Oh, he only bowls on house shot. Oh, he's a house rat. Oh, the only reason he bowls good is because it was house shot. Oh, if you put out court shot, I would have won that tournament, not him. Things like that. And we're one of the only sports where you get criticized on better performances. Like when AJ's a great example.
Yeah, AJ is a great example. But he's going to explain why after these important messages. No,
what the hell? But anyway, AJ shot 900, dude. And
Oh my.
everybody was in the comments, oh, he's two-handed left-handed. He's two-handed left-handed. Oh, he's two-handed. Oh, he's left-handed. Oh, he's a house rat. Okay. He shot 900.
900.
300, 300, 300.
That is crazy.
40 other people in the history of bowling have done. In the history of bowling.
And bowling's been around since ancient pyramids when they were building them before that.
Exactly.
My man shot 900
for 3 games.
Crazy.
The 40th in history.
Oh, right. Don't forget, and moving pairs like
and moving pairs. I mean, exactly. But everybody said, oh, he followed left-handers that walled it up for him. Oh, he's two-handed left-handed. Oh, well, he bowls for a living. He should shoot 900. People take it away from you no matter what you do. If I went out at nationals and I waxed it, it would have been, oh, he got lucky. He's a house rat. He don't bowl on Sports Shot. He just got lucky. It's never, hey man, you bowled great. I'm so proud of you. You did so good. You get that from some people, but it's not everybody. You always have the people that are like, oh no, he's not good. He just got lucky. And then again, like people with AJ, when AJ's great, you know, but it's going to be, oh, he's two-handed left-handed. Oh, he was bowling at a lefty house and he followed lefties that walled it up. Oh, they no matter what, they try and take it away. So no matter what, I just say no matter the success, no matter anything, when you hop into bowling, you're going to get criticized. So fuck them all. I mean, that's
right.
About the best way to put it.
Backstab.
Yeah, when you do anything, any success is always criticized. You know, like that's just the perspective of people. Like they have their own how they perceive it. You don't know where it really comes from. But like you just said, forget who they are. You know, it's just people. People gonna be who they are. It don't matter what now we talking about 900 versus somebody saying that it didn't matter. Like what ways? The fact of the matter is he still bowled 900. We know you guys are speaking on that because you know that. You know how hard it is.
My bad for laughing that loud. This is a great comment.
Haters don't hate losers. Exactly.
That is a somebody need to put that on a t-shirt.
Hey, make a t-shirt and I'm buying it, bro.
Yes, that is gold right there. My bad, Scotty. What was you saying?
No, you good. Good, man. I think what Lane was talking about is just life period. You know, that's just what it is. You know, people have a mouth just to be able to comment. They just got to say something. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what they do. You know, so you just gotta. Those people don't even matter. But I mean, we can say that till we blue in the face, but it matters to some people. People want it. I mean, I think the biggest thing is you want to be praised that you did a 900. You want to be praised as a good bowler. You want to be praised for what you do. It's okay to want that. We just gotta understand that we're not gonna get it from everybody.
Yep. And like I said, there's people that will do it, but not everybody.
Everybody wired different.
What would you say a way to prepare for upcoming success with the criticism?
That's why I say everybody personally, as much as they want success, everybody can't handle it. Right? And that's the thing. We keep saying we want it, but we can't handle it. You know, it takes too much given, much is required. So again, everybody's not built to be in that singular form of being the most successful. So when you finally get there, they can crash very early. So you seen people, they was on top and then they fell very hard because being on top is hard to kind of stay there because it comes with so much. Because the focus is you. You know, the focus. If I'm in a bowling area, whoever's the best, that's the focus. You know, I'm looking at, because that's the one people are responding to. Not saying it may be a focus for me, but people are responding to him, so him or her. So they're constantly in my face. You know what I'm saying? So they're constantly the one. So now when we measure bowling, you think of bowling, you think of this person, you think of this type of story, this success. Any sport, if I call out a sport, who do you think about? You know, if I call out basketball, who you think about? You know, if I call out football, who you think about? Most of the time, it's the person who had much success, but we still criticize that same person. You know, so it's gonna always come with that at the top, no matter what.
I definitely agree. Now, I want to talk about kind of gear into something else, just something that I know that sadly you know a lot about. I know something about. I'm not sure if you ever dealt with this, Lane, but bouncing back from a sports injury, how that can affect the mental. Do you want to go ahead and kind of elaborate on that, Scott?
Yeah. Hmm. I don't think I think that's like one of the toughest things,
Mm-hmm.
especially because, you know, everything that you worked hard for, you got to adjust to now the new you. You know, your body has now shifted. This injury is always going to be a constant reminder. It's going to be some form of pain. You got to learn to live with the fact that you're going to deal with that constant reminder every single day. You
Every
know,
day.
and most people cannot handle that at all because they've used to operate in a certain way for however many years. So those injuries, that's why I always tell people in sports, we gotta be careful how we talk about these professional players, because those injuries, you know, their whole life has gotten shifted and changed, everything they wanted to do. So think about it from this perspective. Y'all can, again, like you said, y'all do all of these different things, and something happened to your wrist. It don't matter what, and now you can't bowl. Now you can't bowl the same. Like it
Yeah.
don't matter what you do. Everything you worked hard on, your wrist damaged or whatever that may be. Mentally, a lot of people have, well, most people, it's a huge adjustment. It's all about acceptance. It's all about acceptance. And if you can find a way to accept things in life, things that happens, then we'll be better people. But a lot of us just don't. So we don't accept the adjustment or the injury that has caused the adjustment. And now we mad, we deal with all of that internalizing how we feeling, and we just responded to it. And it leads to other things, whatever it may be.
That that is that is a huge thing because I've dealt with injuries in bowling where I actually got lucky. A lot of
I
people don't
remember the
know.
fall.
Yes, last year, beginning of the season, weird situation. I fell and I dislocated my hip. Um, it dislocated and popped back. And it was still a constant reminder. I still have certain things that happen in my hip. I've already had a back and wrist injury and a knee injury, so it's frustrating. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, um, it happened when it was in a frustrating time. Um, I was upset about how I was bowling, um, and I was just upset. I was upset at the way I was bowling, um, and I think it was like the last ball in the 10th or something like that, and frustration came over me, and I just in my mind I'm like, I'm just gonna throw this ball as hard as I can.
I've done that.
And I threw the ball, and next thing I know, no, I went to throw the ball, excuse me, and I went down hard, um, to the point where I think when you fall, your first instinct is to get up, and I went to get up and I couldn't move, and it was scary. It was a scary thing, for two reasons. Number one, I had all the kids with me. So at the time, I had my kids and I had my girlfriend's kids at the time with me, and I'm thinking like, how are we going to get home? you know. And it was then the second thing that came over me was I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed because for number one, I'm down here on this floor because I got frustrated. Number two, it was embarrassing because they had to call the fire department and the ambulance. So it's like now I'm holding up people. I'm out here. I can't even get up on my own. So it was embarrassing. And then I'm out. I think I was out for maybe 3 months, till the swelling went down. But I was fortunate enough because we know that could have been real bad.
Mm-hmm.
That could have almost ended my bowling career. So it was tough, and I know, like I said, I was fortunate, and I know you, Scotty. For those who don't know, Scotty he was a ball player, and like you said, we both love playing basketball. And when you had a torn meniscus,
Yeah, it was. There was a undetected torn meniscus. They told me I was good, and I thought I was good, so I kept playing on it. And then they told me 6 months later I had a torn meniscus when it first happened, and then from there they found out all my cartilage was gone in my knee and all of that. So I had to pretty much have a couple surgeries, and those surgeries pretty much, changed my life at that point. Why, when I say seven, shoot, what's this? I was 27, 26. So it's been 12 years. But at that time, I mean, I lost everything. Lord, I just had my third kid, lost everything, and had to make a decision in life. So those first few years was tough. But it prepared me into the space to go to school. So I really ain't no school background outside of what we did. But it was like, hey, I gotta make the decision to go to school and make some things happen. And yeah, now I'm, like I said, got my master's, about to become a therapist, but it allows me to speak from that place, understanding what mental health is and how things can change in life and how we respond to it. You know what I'm saying? So those things are important, very much important to me because of my own experience. So anybody that deals with injuries or whatever that may be, I've been there enough, especially as a man, when you lose certain capabilities, you're not able to play a sport you love. These sports that I play, when y'all do bowling, it takes you away from life. You get to escape for a little while. You get to be able to be in a place that you are enjoying. Basketball was that for me, and I could not do that no more. So, and then not only that, I just had my second son. So it was like, I'll never give it. They told me I'm not going to be able to run or jump no more. So it's fun. Lonzo Ball got the surgery they offered me, and I didn't want to get that surgery. I was like, I'm not putting a deceased cartilage in my knee. Ain't no way, but he decided to do it. Listen, or anything, you just never know. You know what I'm saying? So, those things are tough. Everybody got their different experiences, but you just never know what those injuries may do to you. And mine just it definitely changed my life, but you got to make a decision in the moment. I don't know what you would have did if you couldn't roll no more, Trail, but you probably you would have had to find a way to make an impact. You had to find a way for yourself in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So,
and the crazy thing too about a sports injury with the mental, because I didn't have so basketball was my first love. When I figured I couldn't play basketball at a high level, I went to baseball. But with basketball, there was a point in time where I thought I couldn't see me never playing basketball. Like I never saw that ever in my life. Like, and I ain't gonna lie to you, I jumped my last jump like 3 years ago. I was at a LA Fitness. I went to go block a dude's shot, and I'm in the air, and I don't know what happened to my knee. But by the time I landed, I was on bed rest, had surgery, was on crutches, was out 6. Like all this went through my mind before I landed, and I was probably only out 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, the pain is gone, but it was there when I tried to jump, and I was like, you know what? I can't do basketball no more. So I was able to, thank God, I was able to replace it with softball, then bowling. And like you said, you was, able to replace it to go to school. And I think that's another thing too, is as you get older, you got to I don't want to call it a replacement, but you also got to find other joys in life, other purposes. Stop. And if we don't fill those voids, you can kind of get yourself trapped in a box where you're looking. Because I remember that time that you were going through, Jeff. it was tough because we were just really getting really started and playing with each other. Basketball, pause, no Diddy. And it was like, I remember one time, I don't know if you remember this. I remember one time we drove the Salem Recreation Center. And you was like, yo, guys, I can't play. And I was hot deep down inside. I was like, man, we drove all this way. I don't want to play with these dudes. Like, yo, we can't. He was like, man, I can't play my knee. And I was just like, I don't want to say it upset me, but I was like, dang. But I didn't understand. Like, and then like I think it was like within a year, he was like, yeah, I gotta have surgery. So that's when it like hit me like how serious it was. And it was like, I think too, it's like you kind of blessed when you start looking at other people and what they're able to do. Because like you say it all the time, you tell me all the time with this bowling, like I thank God I found bowling because it was a void and not only just in sport, competitiveness, but in my life, that I needed. It's a getaway, So I think if you're able to find replacements, like you said, school, other sports or just other passions, I think it would help the mental more when certain things happen,
Yeah, and you just gotta find different avenues. Like I wouldn't have made it as a player, but now I get the opportunity to possibly make it as a mental health professional on the NBA staff. So I'm still in the place of where I love to be. I just may not, you know what I'm saying? It's just a lot of things I may not have been able to do before, you know what I'm saying? So it's just people got to make a decision, man. You got to really make we talked about realistic. You got to make a realistic goal and realistic decision. You can't sit on that couch and pout. You just got to kind of accept it and live through it and make it and figure out a way to find that space for you again. Because it's when people kind of turn to drugs, alcohol, all types of other things, because that becomes their escape. So I think we all need competition in some way. We can turn anything into competition. You can turn school into competition. You can turn because you're setting goals and you're competing to strive to obtain that goal. So yeah, man, it was quite an experience. That's a short story of it, but I'm here to let you know there's another side. So I'm gonna be honest. If I would have never got injured, I would have never reached this place in life.
Now, also, do you want to talk about this comment?
What's that? Oh, what?
Oh,
listen. Yeah, but it depends on how you receive it. Because
tell them how
saved my life.
How we turned that around? Like, so, Hodge, we gotta
save my life.
Go ahead. I'll let you tell that story.
Nah, it was like because I didn't play the joint for a minute, and you was like, "Look, man, you can make you in the game. You become you in the game." So the imagination, I think imagination is important. I think there's a level to it. Don't get me wrong. Some people think they super professionals. I mean, now they are. They actually can. They become they're getting money for, right?
And we were nice.
Yeah, indeed,
right.
Indeed.
Like, don't get it twisted.
Indeed.
Like Jeff could and probably still could if he wanted to be in a 2K league, like the professional 2K league. He was that good. And I think the difference in it, Hodge, is the difference between playing it with yourself and playing it with your homeboys.
Pause.
Yeah.
Pause. No Diddy. But if you want to, because we had a team. Every night we was on. Like, hey, what time we getting on? Like, and I don't know. Like, I remember one time me and Jeff was on 2K. Me, Jeff, and Brandon, his cousin Brandon. What was that win streak we went on?
It was a long one, man. It was definitely a long one.
Yeah, the win streak, just to give you an idea, Lane, we started like maybe 9 that night. and we was like, we're not getting off until we lose. And it was probably about what 3, 4 in the morning. No, the sun was
No,
coming up.
sun was coming up.
Jesus.
Yeah,
And
the
to give
sun
more
was coming
perspective
up.
of it, it's still competition. You got to think you're playing
Mhm.
against three other human beings in the entire world. That's why I
Yeah.
say people come at it, but if you change your perspective of it and understand what it does mentally, is with the imagination and competition, it prepares you for life. So now, when you talk about experience and trying to put yourself at the highest level, you could be there in different spaces, and 2K is a space for if you hoop, right? So I'm doing coaching and stuff like that. That's what I'm transitioning into as well. But it's still the imagination of things that can take you to those levels. You understand what is required, even if it's at that level of video game or whatever it may be. So you could be a player, coach, whatever. So I look at it with bowling. You have to imagine yourself being in that space, being at the highest level gets people, no matter who it is in front of you, not worried about who's jumping in the next lane. It didn't matter. You're still competing at your best. And I think some people can't reach that place. That's the thing. They need more experience of competition to reach that place.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the sun caught us. The sun was coming up when we got off, and we finally lost. And the crazy part is, I think if we would have pushed the time back, like if we would have started at 8 a.m., I think the winning streak would have been longer. But we can tell we were falling asleep while playing. Hey Jeff, wake up. Hey Brandon, wake up. Hey Trey, wake up. Like we were falling asleep while playing because they just kept coming back around. Like you could tell, like when you got a win streak, people try to end your win streak. And like you said, we were playing with against actual people. Time zones are different in the West Coast and in the East Coast. So, but that was a crazy night. But we were pretty good. And then one thing I will say about when Scotty had his injury, we definitely wrapped around him. And the last thing I'm gonna say as we start preparing to close is, and I think Lane, you can attest to this. Be on teams with people who make you better.
Absolutely.
You gotta.
Jaime said something about it earlier,
with.
and I forgot to say something about it, but you're never gonna get better if you're a 200 average bowler and you're hanging out with 190, 200 average bowlers, you're not gonna get better.
Right.
But if you're a 200 average bowler and you start hanging out with Jaimes, Julians, Tyrones, guys like that, you're going to get better. Because when I first started adult league, man, no one knew who I was. I averaged 2 team. But then I started hanging around like really good bowlers like Drummond, Gibbons, Tyrone. I started hanging around guys like that, learning from them, picking their brains, really, and learning and putting everything into my own game, because the only way you're going to get better is bowl people that are better than you.
Yep.
Because then once you get on their level, then you have another step to take.
Yep.
And so I went from averaging, like within a year, just from switching, number one, switching companies, and number two, switching to, or learning from everybody that I learned from, and putting all the work in a summer. Dude, I went from averaging 212 to like 225 in a year, and now I'm averaging almost 230. So it's what you have to. You don't bowl with people that are worse than you, unless you're doing a fun league. But when you're bowling, like one of my teammates on Monday night is Kyle Renuart, and the other is David Propakoi. So I got two guys that could beat me any given night.
Right.
That are there to be like, hey, you better show up tonight. Wednesday night, now it's me, Brandon Drummond, and Tamika Jackson. So I have.
Hold up, bit. So they broke up? Not broke up.
The Kyles couldn't bowl no more.
Oh wow!
So me and Drummond took the spot. And so
they won it like what, 4 years in a row?
3 years in a row, bro.
3 years in a row.
And so, but since they finally, then Tamika asked us if we wanted to bowl, and me and Brandon have been dying to bowl with each other. So I was like, absolutely. And Brandon's better than me, so it's only going to increase me up a little bit. And then bowling with guys down in McDonough, dude, And I bowl with Jason Sterner's old coach, Keith Preston. And just guys that literally will help you take the steps up.
Yeah.
If you're bowling with people that are going to keep you where you're at, you're never going to improve.
And that also goes for your mental.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I love
not just
bowling
hanging
with
out
Daryl
with these
Fields.
people. Yeah, exactly.
Because Daryl never you know Daryl, it seemed like Daryl never had a bad day in his life.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of energy, and then bowling with Robert Sims, who's very, I don't want to say monotone, but he doesn't show it if he is upset or anything. So
and it's not even just hanging out with these guys, like these super good guys on the lanes. It's hanging out with them off the lanes too.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time with a lot of these guys off the lanes, and it just helps you realize like what you need to work on, how you need to mature mentally, and what you have to do to get to where they're at.
Yep.
Especially from a guy like Tyrone, who's had success from here to California. I mean, he's won tournaments here to California, everywhere in between, and getting to learn with him and pick his brain. And same thing with Terrence Bright, and just learning with them, talking with them, and then just talking with guys that are better than you to eventually get to where you're better than them.
Yeah, Terrence be having some good information. He be having some good game too. His information, him and Tyrone's information be gold.
I know. I talk to them usually every Wednesday when we're done bowling, because they bowl together with Charisma on Wednesday night, and so usually they stay after and hang out. Sometimes they'll practice, and I'll usually walk over and talk for a little bit. And just the knowledge that you can gain from those two, if you could soak it up like a sponge, man, it's over.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and close. We've been up here for 2 hours. Great conversations. I want to first thank both of y'all. Lane,
thanks for having me, bro.
Lane, I definitely got to get you on because I'm trying to get a group of guys to talk bowling as far as pro shop. And then I want to get a show too in that same show. I want to start breaking down bowling jargon. Because I feel like a lot of people use bowling jargon and not know what they're talking about. They just regurgitate information.
Jargon? What do you mean jargon?
I went through the heads or the fronts. So people.
Yeah. Okay. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people be just saying stuff and don't know what they really be saying.
They don't know what they're talking. Yeah, I get that because I hear it all the time. Like I'll hear somebody that averages like 150 on my Tuesday night league. They're like, "Oh, dude, my ball just like it checked. It didn't read the front part of the lane and it didn't pick up in the back." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, and then they're like, "Oh, but my ball hooked early and then it didn't hook down, my ball hooked early, but it went too long." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
They just take information that they see online and spit it back out.
Stop. So yeah, I definitely.
That's what I tell them. I'm like, stop.
So I definitely want to do something with the pro shop guys. So I got a couple of guys already. I would love to have you on, Scotty.
Absolutely. Let me know.
Definitely, Scotty. I want to appreciate you for taking the time. I definitely want to, like I said, do this series more. Have you back. I love me and you talk about mental health all the time and the importance of it. And then we both are raising kids who are, more than likely going to be athletes coming up just like we were. So it's definitely good to set examples. That's one thing that I try my best to do with controlling myself in the bowling alley, especially if there's kids around. I don't want them to see me kicking bowling balls or ball turns or something like that. Because I think a lot of the times, and even with you, Lane, me and you had this conversation about watching the company you keep, because those habits, we become, habits of the company we keep.
Absolutely. Because, I've even had to catch myself because, I don't work in the pro shop as much anymore. Like, I'm there when they need some help, but just every now and then. But I'm mostly in there to represent the shop, and I'm in there on Saturday mornings a lot, especially when league comes back around. The youth kids, and then they come and watch us bowl Wednesday nights, and they see me throw these fits, and they're like, "Oh man, like Lane can do it, I can do it." And then they start doing it in their league, and I have to be like, "No, dude, like, nope, you're not doing that." And then they're like, but you did it. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't learn from me. Like, it's one of the, like, I get
Yep.
so frustrated. I don't think of the outside picture. And
You're not
again,
smart.
like I said, somebody representing a brand, it's something that they don't want to see. They're like, oh, Lane has his attitude. Pfft, I can get on. I'm gonna get on too.
So yeah, no, I definitely agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is a good thing. But Scotty, like I said, we definitely want to start having these conversations a lot more in sports because I think they are needed. You don't see a lot of these conversations happening. I saw Hodge up here saying a couple of times, "Hey man, I feel the same way." And it's just stuff that we don't normally talk about in sports, on the bowling alley, on the basketball court, in the locker room. You know, we don't.
Yeah.
And I think these conversations need. So I thank you for joining, giving a little bit of a professional side of it. You know, especially someone. I know you bowl, but I know it's not as intense as me and Lane. So it's like, you know,
Right.
for you to see and hear and be outside looking, you know, in, you know, of what you would see, what you see.
Stay outside, bro. Ain't nobody want to hear all that. Just stay outside.
Hey, I'll be there. I see Sean. I see you, Sean. I'll be there. Well, we don't got a game. Thank God we don't got a game Wednesday. I'm in Virginia right now, Sean. That's why I wasn't at their last game. But now that we moved up a level, I'm there, baby. I'm there. Shout out to you. You just had a birthday too, Sean. Happy belated birthday. But yeah, appreciate everybody for coming on. Appreciate everybody on TikTok. Appreciate everybody on YouTube, Twitch, whatever you watch. If you're watching this later, I appreciate the rewatch game. I come back, I'll be seeing a bunch of comments and stuff from the rewatch game. So I want to say thank you to those who go come back and watch later, because this is a late night television show, not on television, but I'm just joking. But but I do appreciate everybody who walked up to me. Even today, I had some people who seen the show at the tournament today. A guy from he drove to the tournament from Elizabeth City. So he watched. You know, I've been a lot of people recognize the jersey. You know, so I appreciate y'all. But we are out tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. We have the UBA. We're going to talk about what happened on the Southeast page. I don't know if you saw.
I've been waiting to hear that one.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about the UBA playoff and the rule change that happened. And I'm not saying that I was involved in the rule change, but I did post something that kind of got it started. I didn't know it was going to happen. I was genuinely just asking a question, and it went left from there. I think what that post got like 300 comments on under
Which one?
the one under Jason's, I think, that he made when he said let's discuss. I think it was at 120. It might be up to 200 now.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
But it got spicy up there. Stay Dangerous is very mad at me, and I'm sorry, not sorry. But if you're a wild card, you do not deserve to be a higher seed than the ones who get an automatic bid. It makes no sense. So, like, I don't even like. You're lucky you got in the club, you know. Like, but I want to wish everybody a good night. I want to tell y'all, if you are struggling with mental health, do not be afraid to get help. I would not be here if I did not have said I have a problem. Scotty could tell you the benefit that it had in my life. He met me before I was going to counseling and how I am now. The progression in my life that I have now. So counseling does work. So I will recommend anybody to get any, and I'm not talking about go talk to your grandma. Get somebody that is professionally.
But grandma's got good advice though.
Yes, but grandma and grandpa is going to give you advice based on the love that they have for you.
That's true.
You know, but that therapist is going to give you the advice that you may not know you need. And that's where, and they come from different aspects of life. That's what one thing I love. And let me also say this too. When you go to therapy, that does not mean listen and don't. You know, I challenge my therapist a lot. And I think that is good because I need to know, you know, you need to really, by me challenging you, And when I say challenging, I'm not saying in a disrespectful or a condescending way. What I'm saying is because you got to understand when you go to a therapist, their job is to question everything you say. So they're going to ask you to double and question everything you say. Now, there's some times where they're going to tell you, I don't agree with you. And then I will tell them why, said thing. I know I'm trying not to give an example, but I'm going to give an example. I was talking about one day I was frustrated because I felt like certain people get away with murder. I said, a lot of people get away with a lot of things, and it constantly happens, and it gets frustrating. Like, for example, this world right now has a big, everybody's scamming something. I am in the belief that if we start condemning people, kind of like how the Amish do, okay, you messed up, you're no longer part of this group. I think that we will be able to get people to be more honest, and we will get people to, oh man, I saw what they did to him, I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? I think that will work more than putting people in jail and then we watching a movie where it's glorified. Mm-hmm. But so we were she disagreed with me, but I kind of, was saying my points by challenging her to what she was saying versus how that may work. So that's what I mean by challenging your therapist, because, and I don't, and I think that's healthy because when you break it down fully, then they can actually understand the mindset that you're in. And then, y'all both can work on a plan instead of your therapist just telling you to do something and then you're like, I don't want to do that or whatever. So like I challenge my therapist with some things, and I think it's healthy because sit down. It teaches me to be patient more. Lord have mercy, this little girl gonna give me a heart attack in a second. But let me go ahead and but yeah, so I will also say don't when you go to a therapy, it's not just listen and do everything they say. It is healthy. It is healthy to disagree with your therapist so they can kind of break it down a little bit more for your understanding and for them to create a true plan for your mental health. So mm-hmm. I definitely go out there. Sometimes you do have to talk to more than one therapist to get the right one, but the right person, the right group is out there. I'm starting to love group therapy because group therapy helps me realize that my problems, if I throw my problems in the middle after group therapy, I'm trying to get my problems back. Like, hey, mm-hmm. I heard him. I don't want them problems. So it helps me kind of appreciate things. So if you want to try group therapy, I will say try that. Find a place that has group therapy and stuff. But there's so many ways, don't suffer in silence. The bowling world has helped me. My softball world has helped me. The basketball world helped me. My 2K world helped me. So all these avenues has helped because I was not silent about my issues. And y'all know I've spoken about this. I've been open. And I think that is some of the best ways to heal is because a lot of the old me blew up a lot because I held everything in. So, definitely go and seek help. I love all of y'all. If you need help finding something or finding a therapist, I am not a therapist, but if you need help trying to find one or knowing where to go, I can help you with that. But I'm not a therapist. Don't tell me your problems. I ain't gonna say don't tell me your problems. Don't tell me your problems expecting me to work out a plan for you because I can't. I'm not there. But if you want to find some place to go to group therapy, I can help you find that. Well, Google is my friend, so I can introduce you to Google. And then we can find it. So y'all have a good night. I love all y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Hey,
Good luck with
appreciate the
outside.
opportunity.
Don't forget
Appreciate you having me, bro.
playoff show tomorrow.
Can't wait.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good
Hey,
night.
Len, nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too, bro.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Later, man.